Hello, ericgibois.com, and today, thanks to photosura.com, I'm going to present you the Canon EOS M50. Let's start. Well, first of all, thank you photosura.com for lending me his their demo camera, so I can have a look at it. So why did what am I reviewing this camera that has been out for about a couple of years, I think, or maybe 3 years, I'm not sure. Just because many people ask information about it, because it's still recommended as a great vlogging camera. So they had one, so I said, okay, let's test it and I'll give my impression. So I'm going to give you some specs, and then I'll show you some pictures and videos I've made. They are not the greatest picture, because I actually make them to see about the situation, or the camera reacts and things like this. It's more technical for me than a beautiful picture as a wow picture you can do. So this is a mirrorless camera with an M mount, as you can see. Okay, it came with the lens. Oh, this is the white version. There's a black one. I don't know if there's another color, maybe a red one, I'm not sure, but they lent me the white version. It's 15 to 45 millimeter, the lens that came with it, 3.5 6.3 aperture, so it's not very luminous, but I made the test with that kit lens. Okay, so 24 megapixels of resolution, M mounts. As I said, you can still put EF and EFS lenses, but you need a special ring for it. I always prefer the native mounts because you have all the features working properly. It has a Digic 8 sensor, burst rate 10 pictures per second, which is really good, 10 frames per second, which is really good. If you go JPEG and deactivate the autofocus, then it goes up to 33 images per second, which is very good. It has Wi-Fi, NFC, Bluetooth, so fully connected. The autofocus has the famous dual pixel, and we'll come back on it, but what I've tried, it works really well, really fast. It works really nice. It's stabilized in photography if the lens is compatible with stabilization, and in video, same thing. You need a specific lens so it can be everything stabilized. The autofocus has 143 or 99 points. It depends on the lens you're using. You have two modes for autofocus. You have single, so you actually do one shot. It makes the focusing, and then even if you move, it's focused as long as you don't release the shutter. And then you have servo autofocus that follows the person. It can also track faces. You can actually on the screen select a face and it tracks it. And if you're on photography only, then photo one by one, it can follow the eye. By the way, as I'm speaking about the screen, it's fully articulated, which I really like. It's a 3-inch screen, and it's really nice. It's fully touchable in many situations, configuring, selecting menus and things like this. It works really nice. You also have focus peaking for manual focus. It means that it shows you where the focus is made, so it's really good if you're using manual lens or autofocus lens used in manual mode, so it's really useful. You have ISO 100 ISO up to 25,600 ISO, and you can force it to 51,200. I show you some pictures and some video. I think above 1600, 3200 you should start to be careful because noise appear, but well, I think this crazy war about ISO is becoming crazy. People don't seem to realize that at very high ISO you drop a lot of dynamic range, and also it's not as the pictures look flatter. So I think it's always better to get your own light or find situation where you can actually lead yourself the scene, but sometimes it's not always possible. So high ISO for me are more like life jacket than anything else, but people want to know how it managed at high ISO, so I put them. Okay, in video, in 4K you got ISO from 100 to 6400, and in Full HD from 100 to 12,800 ISO. You have a microphone connector here, and I think this is why it is probably still a great vlogging camera, because you have orientable screen, You have microphone connector. If you have a hot shoe, well, you can put actually a mic if you want. So trying a test vlogging style, if I can say, with the screen facing me. There's quite a bit of wind, so I suppose you can hear it. This is a microphone directly from the camera, so let's see what comes out. You also have integrated flash, of course. Well, of course, not always, but this is, yes, it is. Okay. And the speed from 30 seconds up to 4,000th of a second. Some people will say 4,000 is a bit short for action photography, but for that kind of camera, this is really normal. It's very rare that you have that kind of range of camera with 8,000th of a second, so I think 4,000 is fine. And for most picture, I think 4,000 is fine. Actually, if you want to do action picture, you probably use a different camera, like probably. Okay. Anyway, so although the burst rate is really good. The white balance, you have automatic, several configuration. You can do manual balance, white balance, which is really useful, especially in video. The viewfinder, the viewfinder is nice. It's not too big, but the what you see in there is on OLED. It's quite good. Yeah, actually you can correct the diopter here also. As I said before, the screen is great, fully touchable for selecting menus and things like this. It's really nice. Selecting, picking where you want the autofocus to be made is really nice. The integrated flash synchronizes at 200th of a second, which is normal for that. I prefer 250, but well, for Canon very often it's 200th of a second. You have scene and picture style, photography style menu, so like portrait, landscape, whatever, and it pre-configures. And also if you want to do black and white picture, you can have a preset like this, or if you want to do I don't know, some special things you don't want to do in a computer, you can have done it here. I always prefer to do in my computer. That's why I work in RAW, because this option just gives you a JPEG anyway. So but people don't like to edit. It's fine to have that kind of feature anyway. Video, it does 4K, and many people look at this camera thinking about 4K. That's an affordable camera now. When it came out, it was a lot more expensive, but affordable camera now that does 4K. But 4K does only 24 and 25 images per second. Full HD, you have, I'm rounding because it's 23.98, okay, but I'm giving you 4K, 24 and 25 images per second. Full HD, 60, 50, 30, 25, 24 images per second. And then in HD, 720p, then you get 120 and 100 images per second, 60 and 50. I think if you want to do really slow motion, that's a bit short to have it only in HD, but wow, for that range of camera and for when it came out, I think it's still interesting. You have 9 buttons you can actually configure, and this is great because that kind of camera, some people will use it for photography, other will use it for video, other will use it for vlogging, so it's really nice to configure the button exactly as you want, so you can quickly access your preset and do the picture or the video you want straight away. So it's really nice to configure all this. You have highlight warning, obviously. It gives you when you're going to be burnt, you know. And you have HDMI connector. It supports SD cards with the format SDHC, SDXC. I'll have to read because I never remember the name. It's compatible with UHS-1. And battery life, wow, that's a bit of a problem. Only 235 pictures, which is really short if going to be on a trip. I think you will need several batteries. And video, it will take, the battery will last 85 minutes. By the way, video recording time maximum is 29 minutes and 59 seconds. After this, you need to press again, start recording a new video. The weight is really light, 387 grams. I think it's nice. It doesn't feel that light, but it doesn't feel heavy. I think the construction is really good, so it's nice. So I'm going to give you more my opinion. You see, I've shown you some picture. Now I'm going to speak about the stabilization. I'm show you first in 1080. Walking on sand, testing stabilization. As you can see, I don't see much difference. I think the stabilization works in both situations. Now I'm going to show you something a lot more problematic. When you are using this camera in 4K, you have a crop factor of 1.5, so if you wanted to do really wide angle video in 4K, that's a big problem because it reduces, it makes a narrow picture. This is not just that camera. Many cameras in 4K actually reduce the width, and that may be a problem for you. But I think the really big problem, the really big issue in 4K is that you lose the dual pixel focusing. So now I'm going to show you two takes I've made of a plane passing by. One in 1080, this is the first one. As you can see, I follow the plane with not any problem. I don't lose track. The autofocus is working fine, it's all perfect. And now I'm going to show you in 4K. As you can see, it's very hard to track the plane. I lose the autofocus, doesn't work. I cannot get back the plane in focus. I get it back, then I lose it again. This is a disaster. So really, if you think of this camera as a 4K camera, then you're going to be with a problem, because in 4K you will really have to work manually, focusing manually, which is not a problem. Many people prefer to work manually when they do cinema or movie recording anyway. But if you were thinking of doing 4K with autofocus, forget it. It doesn't really work. It's a problem. Okay, so I think this camera is a great little camera to use in 1080 for video, and it's a bargain. Other problem I've noticed, Canon really played on the safe side with the highlights, so it tends to underexpose to make sure highlights are not burnt. So you have to take it into account at the moment of making the picture, or you compensate in manual exposure where you expose knowing this. I think it burns easily in the highlights, but I will need to do some more testing. But I think it's not really of a problem if you're not going to do the typical really contrasty scene or against the sun. If you work with the light in favor, you won't have any problem in this situation. So what do I think overall about this camera? What I'm going to tell you now is completely different from what I would have told you when it came out, because the price now is at least 40% cheaper. So I think now this camera is a bargain. It's a great camera. There are not that many cameras for that price that offers you a microphone connector, 4K, even if you have to focus on manual, good stabilization, flip screen, all this, flip orientable screen. It's very good camera. The construction is nice. I think it's plastic, but it's tough plastic. It looks like metal, but I think it's because this version is white. If it was black, I think it would look different. I've not seen the black version. So I do think this camera is a great little camera for travelers, for beginners too, for experts too, and for vlogging. Yes, it is a great camera, because if you take it into account, you have everything you need actually. What I would change, I would probably put a fixed focal length, a prime lens, more luminous, wider lens for vlogging. So even if you take yourself or what's around, I think it would be nicer. Get it that is compatible with stabilization, so this way you have really a great little tool for vlogging. And I do recommend this camera. And when it came out, I was not too convinced. I had not tried it, but I look at the specs and the price, I thought it was too high. But now I think it's a great opportunity. I don't know what Canon will issue next, M60 maybe, probably. What else it will bring? I think maybe they should work on the dual pixel on 4K, and also slow-mo in 4K also. That would be great and would be really a lot better tool. Do I recommend this camera? Definitely yes. For that price, there's nothing to think about. I don't think there is competition in that price range really, except if you use your cell phone maybe, but you don't get a zoom and things like this way. But I think if you look at the Alpha 6400 by Sony, it's twice the price, almost twice the price. If you look at the Fujifilm X-T30, it's also almost twice the price. So I think this is the great little camera, and right now it's a great opportunity. Even if it's a couple of years old, I think if you are on a budget or as a second camera or main camera, this is a great camera. You will not be disappointed. I think so, taking into account that you will be really limited on 4K. Okay, if you know this, then it's a great camera for video, full HD, and then for photography, obviously. Well, thank you Photosfera for lending me the camera. Thank you to you for watching the video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here, a small bell. If you click on it, you will get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgimbal.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below or send me an email to info@ericgimbal.com. I also put links to other parts of my channel below and links to my gear on Amazon. Thank you very much. Bye.